how'd you get hooked up with Josh Allen?
I had heard a bunch because he had decided to come out not this year, the year before, and then got rush of the media and agents, and he's from a tiny town, and the maturity for him to say, I think I need another year to do this and grow and experience all these things. I paid attention to that. I thought that was a very mature decision. So then I invited him to one of my QB Summit camps that I have all off season for high school kids and a lot of the top college players. And I had him and Jarrett Stidham, who's at Auburn, will be out next year, and Sam Darnold, and they hit it off. Got a chance to see it in person, get to know him as a kid, and immediately identified him as somebody I think I can help and want to be involved with.
Well, then let's talk about Josh Allen a little bit, because in this crazy hamster gerbil wheel that we call the talent evaluation portion of the NFL calendar, it seems like it's his turn to be mentioned as the first overall apple of the Cleveland Browns' eye right now. The knock against him is that he's inaccurate, that he's an inaccurate thrower. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think all these guys coming out, it's getting to the point where college football and the NFL, they're almost two different sports. The language, the verbiage, what they see, not even just the talent, but what the quarterback is asked to do is getting further and further away from what an NFL quarterback is asked to do. The play that Deshaun Watson scored on to win the national championship, that whole entire play call was 5 words. And yet in the NFL, you can get H set to gun spread right H, hot tool, China drive, F read, alert, Mustang, dragon on a white 1. That's a completely different set of skills to have. And so as these guys go through it, accuracy is one of those things where they're not asked to make all the same type of throws they are in the NFL. So trying to evaluate somebody's accuracy like Josh early in college, it's hard to do to project against it in the NFL because he didn't play with a single NFL type receiver, and he didn't really play against any NFL DBs. So it's really a kind of a hard comp to make.
And the 5 words that Clemson used to call the play was, let's run the pick play?
Yeah, run the pick play to the right.
And
wow, really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Bama fans in there?
No. Look, and Watson obviously made the transition from the 5-word play to the, I don't even know what the hell you just said.
How many they were.
No, but the obvious comparison for Allen, and it became even more so during our combine coverage on the NFL Network, was his measurables were almost down to the inch, pound, 100th of a second to Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I mean, it was remarkable. Anytime I mentioned it on the air with Mayock sitting to my right, or on the air sitting here with folks like you to my right, I get tweets like, he's inaccurate. He's not the same as Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz could throw it through a hoop. He could throw it in a window, and Allen cannot. What can you do as a mentor, not a guru or a whisperer, to fix that?
Yeah, I think mechanics, when it comes to throwing, it's about being able to do the exact same thing over and over and over again. And there's always going to be times when you're off schedule, right? When you have to lean, you're going to have to throw, you're running for your life. But the reality is, if I said, I'll give you $1,000 to hit a jump shot, and you can either shoot a free throw or a fadeaway jumper from the corner, we're all going to shoot free throws. And so how do I build a routine where when I can, I throw the ball exactly the same every single time? You know, Josh was 56% at Wyoming. The more tape I watch, the more impressed I am that he was 56%.
Why is that?
Because what's happening on the other side of the throw, there's 2 sides of it, right? There's what he's doing with the ball, where he's throwing it, and then there's what's happening. And so in my opinion, what happened is you've got very little separation and you've got different route depths. And so it's really hard to anticipate. And we know some guys who played in the NFL and had great careers who don't have strong arms. I do not think you have to have a giant arm to be able to play in the league. But when there's not that separation or timing, then you have to throw the ball late. And he throws the ball really hard, and it's really cold there. So it ends up being really difficult to manufacture completions. In the NFL, me understanding the type of talent he's going to be around, and then watching him for the last couple months, he can throw with anticipation. He can separate people. He can throw people open. So it's just going to become a repetition thing. And for mechanics, can you do it over and over again?
Jordan Palmer here on the Rich Eisen Show. The layperson hearing that would say that's an excuse making. I'll be honest.
100%.
An evaluator might understand that language right there. What do you think it is going on right now with the evaluation? Are they seeing what you were seeing, or might it just be the idea that you're trying to cover up for whatever this young man might lack to be the first overall pick in this year's draft?
Yeah, I'll say with all these guys, and I'll say this every year moving forward, none of these guys, the jump is too big. None of these guys, I don't think I'll ever sit here and say, this guy's ready to dominate week 1. It's just it's too different. It's on a completely different level. So you have to go, all right, is he accurate enough to be able, him as in any player?
Yes.
Is this player accurate enough to be able to make the free throws, take all the easy gimmies, and separate and create separation with players? And is he accurate enough to be able to throw people open? And I think when people look at him, and especially through these private workouts, I think they've been able to check that box. But you also have to measure that against who the person is, right? And is this the type of person who's going to remain all in and constantly pursue their career as if there's a problem they have to fix? And he's that.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.